Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to a brand new episode of the Mindset Kitchen podcast with your host, Sheyaf Hashim and Kareem Mustafa. Hey Kareem, how's it going?
What's going on, guys? Welcome back. And what's going on, Chef? How are you, man?
I'm good. Doing all right. What about you? How's things? I can't see now, but I saw that you got a new haircut. Kareem, what's
That's
up?
right, man. Yeah,
Are you wearing the
yeah.
cap
But
now?
it is pretty cold.
Yeah.
So yeah, I gotta wear something
Yeah.
just to keep it warm, you know,
So yeah,
because I can never get used to it, man. Even after 9, 10 years, I can never get used to the cold here in Dublin. But yeah, man. That's the latest haircut I call it the COVID haircut.
cool.
Everyone's doing it
At home, yes.
at
So,
home. Yeah. What
so
about you, man? How's the Dubai bike ride marathon thing you guys were doing?
I think we were just for many of you who don't know, like Dubai has this thing called 30 into 30, where every November there's this fitness challenge that Sheikh Hamdan or Fazza does. So for that, this time they did something really unique, which was, there was this bike ride challenge that you do on Sheikh Zayed Road. Sheikh Zayed Road is like the biggest highway in UAE, and the whole one, like 14-kilometer stretch, they actually blocked it off and only for cyclists. So I think close to thousands of people came. So I had went for that as well. It was like a 14-kilometer stretch. And yeah, it was amazing, bro. Like we were discussing, it was a unique experience. And people, like all sorts of people, were there, like morning at 5 a.m, 4:30 a.m, people were there all the way till 8 a.m. It was nice.
Nice.
It was very different experience. This is the road that I've been traveling in my car or in somebody else's car for the past 30 years. And all of a sudden, I'm cycling on that same road. So I don't know if
Crazy,
people might
man.
get the emotional connection, but yeah, it was a very unique thing.
Probably
And
took you ages just to get from point A to point B.
yeah. But anyways, yeah.
But
So
you appreciate the journey more, though, I'd say.
yeah, definitely, man. And again, it all comes up to how Dubai does this unique stuff, man. Always doing, things which nobody else even thinks of. Like, I mean, come on, who thinks about this? Like, you're blocking your highway, like the most unique highway, like the most important highway, and letting people cycle. Yeah, just for the, people to come and collaborate and stuff like this. So, yeah, it was quite
Yeah,
unique and interesting. So, anyway,
man,
so
you're bringing a lot of like Dubai memories back, man. Hopefully we're gonna do one of these episodes in person soon as well.
definitely. So, let's jump right into today's topic. So, Kareem, so what's, again, now before that, guys, we want to like welcome anybody new who's started following us and who's new to Mindset Kitchen. Hope you guys have been enjoying the episodes. So welcome to the kitchen. So this is your, like,
Yep.
today we have, Kareem, what's on the menu today? Like, what's on the menu? Yeah. What are we
Yeah, so
discussing?
and for the new people, definitely the best is please enjoy everything we've put out so far. And I want to tell you, like the best is yet to come, especially because you're with us now before we start 2021. 2021 is gonna be. We are planning some fire concepts for you guys, so can't wait for you guys to check it out. And speaking of fire concepts, today we're going to be talking about a concept called callusing your mind, which comes from ex-Navy SEAL David Goggins, who wrote a book called Can't Hurt Me. And we're going to be unpacking a bunch of different concepts, but I think the most important one will be callusing your mind. And we're going to be breaking that down together step by step to even understand what is callusing your mind and how you can actually apply that to your personal life, your professional life, to help you break through any invisible barriers that you might find between you and what you're trying to achieve. So, Chef, why don't you start us off with this?
Yeah, like, I mean, the first thing let's discuss. What does callousing actually mean? This is because I remember when we started discussing about this concept, I think last week or the week before, this is the first question first discussion we had. What does callousing actually mean? Before you get to the mind, Kareem, like, what does it even mean, callousing your mind?
Callusing, yeah. So anyone who plays sports, that involve their hands or their feet, you know, they would probably know what callousing is. But essentially, it's when let's use your hand, your hand or your fingers, for example. It's basically when the skin on your hands becomes really, really dry to the point where you've actually lost a little bit sense of touch. Sometimes you've lost sense of touch completely, and the process of having your fingers calloused, for example, if you do like rowing, or if you are
Cycling.
Yeah, so, for your hands.
Yeah. If
Yeah,
you're not using
yeah.
gloves, yeah, your hands,
Fair enough.
Yeah, yeah.
Or even like for people who are musicians, like me, like I play guitar, you end up, you go through a painful process of where your fingers are almost like popping, but then it becomes callous. Same thing with bike riding, like Sheyaf was saying, and other sports. And you get to the stage where this numbness becomes a competitive advantage because you don't feel pain anymore. You can basically just go through whatever you're trying to go through. And the same thing for feet, so on and so forth. And so imagine being able to callous your mind. But yeah, over to you, Sheyaf.
Yeah, so this is what when I heard about this concept as well. This is very intriguing. Like, in the sense, it's a very, like, nobody thinks about this. Like, even for guys, usually it's any sort of hard labor or any sort of physical works. It's back in the day, it was not just with workout. These days, we are quite, what do you call, lucky to get this stuff in the hobbies or passions that we follow. But back in the day, people used to do hard labor and they used to get this. Even, for example, sometimes women, they're at home, they the kind of day-to-day stuff they actually do, they get this stuff on their hands. So technically, scientifically, I think what happens is your skin, like, it dies off, it's dead skin, so that your body, those areas don't get affected anymore. Like, similarly, we discuss a example also, when you get a cut in your hand, like on your skin, once the cut heals, it heals in a way. If anybody, this is a very easy example as well. If it cuts, once it dries, it becomes in a way that it becomes very, very tough and thick. Like, it becomes very hard. So usually this is why you have scars. You can actually see. If you actually look closely, this is the body's mechanism of making sure you don't get a cut over there again. Because it's more,
so it becomes stronger than the regular skin.
Yeah. And similarly, one painful thing, like you said, guitar, when I used to do kickboxing, in kickboxing, Muay Thai, you use your shin. Yeah, shin is not your feet, not your knee, the area in between. And you have to kick on the back. And these bags are like, very heavy and very strong. So initially when you kick, the pain is so bad. Like, I remember, like, your shins used, like, you can't walk. It's so painful. And fast forward like 2-3 months, you don't even realize. What happens is, again, scientifically, you get micro fractures apparently. And a day comes, I don't know if this reference anybody will get, if any of you have seen Kickboxer, the movie, Sylvester Stallone, back in the days, there's this guy who kicks on, I don't know, Kareem, do you remember, like, he kicks on the wall and he breaks the whole wall? Yeah, and people think it's not a real.
I gotta watch this movie now, man. I didn't see it.
Bro, it's a classic. I think in 1980s. So the main bad guy used to do this. This is his highlight. Like, he used to kick. So when you see this, you think this is not real. But if you actually go to YouTube and you actually look, there are people who've actually, because
kicking the wall,
basically they break anything, bro. They break baseball bats. So the thing is, okay, that's not like a safe thing to do, but the amount of training they've actually done, the shins or the bones have become so strong that, there is no more pain, and it's an advantage. Yeah. So it's so coming back. So this is the whole concept. So today, what we're going to talk about is how can we do this with our brain? Now, physically, tangibly, we cannot do much. Like, we cannot open our heads and, do something in our brain. So that's not the point, guys. So there is no scary operating procedures that we're going to talk about today. So we're going to talk about how we can actually, go through this process. Now, in this book, I think the author actually speaks about 5 steps usually. Like, there are some tips that he gives that how we can achieve. And in a nutshell, if what I understand is, like, you go through particular things in your life, you start thinking in a particular manner that you don't you don't feel weakness, or you don't get affected the way usually people will get affected. So if I remember correct, Kareem, there are 5 core concepts that the author speaks about, like how to achieve this. And the number one thing was, I think, if I'm correct, is flipping your mind or flipping your story, basically. And this, what he means by this is basically getting outside. Okay, some of these things might sound very extreme. Yeah. Now, keep in mind the author, he's a Navy SEAL. Navy SEAL in the US Army, these are one of the most badass, like hardcore guys. So usually, not just him, like other than this guy, this guy's name is Goggins, David Goggins, I think. There is another guy called Joko Willing. So all these guys, whenever they write books, these are guys who've been put through the most extreme condition that humans face. So, you know, just a caution, like don't take it in face value and like this is too extreme. But remember how these guys have achieved. So his first tip, what he speaks about is flip your story. Now, what he means by that is ditch the victim mentality. Like stop thinking that you're always, you have to stop thinking that you are the victim. Like, why is everything happening to you? So Kareem, you want to add something to this? Yeah.
Yeah. For flipping the story, I'm actually trying to remember it a bit more. I think if you start talking a little bit more, I feel like it'll come back to me, because I'm clear on the other four, but this one I'm just trying to remember it again.
Yeah. So what he speaks about this is, this is again a mindset. Yeah. Now we've discussed different kinds of mindsets. Okay. Now when you talk about flipping your stories, any situation, yeah, any challenge or any problem that you face in your life, yeah, there are multiple angles that you can actually approach the problem. Now, sometimes what happens is when something bad is happening to us, or something, for example, that is not, something like it's the opposite of what we actually want, or something bad is happening. So immediately, the first thing you would go to is the mode of like, oh my God, why is this happening to me? This is happening to me. It's happening to only me. And
why me?
Why me? That, that victim mentality. So instead of this, what is saying, if I understand correct, is turn this around. Now we've discussed this in many other episodes, is turn this immediately when you start feeling like, why is this happening to me? Okay, this is happening to me. Use this as fuel. Turn this, you might turn this negativity and maybe you can turn into rage. Or for example, use this negative feeling into something that you can actually push towards achieving. Because end of the day, like we keep saying, it's all, in our head. Like for example, how we actually perceive a situation. So, can you think of...
And just to add to that as well, Chef, like I think, I wasn't sure I don't think this was mentioned in the book, but it's very much related to that. But this notion of, why do I have to do this? Why do I have to do that? Why does this keep happening to me? And, sometimes, I forgot the person who says it, but it's not about, I have to do something. It's, I get to do that. So, if, for example, if someone, if someone is climbing Mount Everest, for example, and, it's day 5 or day 6, and, they're like, wow, it's so cold. Like, why do I have to go through this cold?
Yeah.
And of course, for people, like, as we are listening to this, it might sound a little bit funny. It's like, hey, like, you don't have to do any of this. You can go home if you want. You get to do this. This is a privilege. You're climbing freaking, Mount Everest. And Mount Everest could be a figurative example for any end goal, right, that people are trying to achieve, where it's like, I don't have to do any of this. You don't have to start a company. You don't have to find customers. You don't have to get fit. You don't have to do any of the things that you're trying to do.
You don't need to achieve goals. You don't need to progress in life. Yeah.
You get to do these things, and this is a privilege. Other people may not even have the chance, right? Other people might not have the same measure of health as you that will even allow them to do something like that, or the measure of freedom, for example, for them to allow them to do something else. Let's say if it's something on the entrepreneurial side, so on and so forth. And like you're saying, Sheyaf, like flipping, it's coming back to me now. Flipping the story to me as well, like the way I interpret it is rather than going from I don't know what's the opposite of victim, but almost like I'll say a word and maybe you can help me out, but almost like going from the victim mentality to the bully mentality. And I mean that in a positive way, where you're bullying the thing that is bringing you down.
Yes, exactly. So, I think a little bit more context, I think to simplify this is for sure in your day-to-day life, right, you will be faced with a lot of challenges. Okay, like you will be discriminated against, maybe you will be made fun of, or you will feel insecure for countless different things, yeah, in your life. So however, if you want to overcome these difficulties, right, usually what happens, the victim mentality, just to clarify, is whenever you're going through some of the situation, or you're being discriminated against, or somebody's making fun of you, or something is not being, immediately one of the ways you feel victim is, oh, you know what, this is because I did not have money. This is because, I was not, I'm not too smart, I'm not too skilled. So this is one way you can actually look at it. Instead, you can take that same feeling and you can just turn the whole thing around. And one easy way is, the moment you are presented like this, usual story is, oh man, this is a test. The other story is immediately flipping, this is the ultimate training ground for me, for in my life. So
I love that. Yeah. I remember that from the book now. Yeah.
So definitely. And when I'm talking about this, when I was reading this as well, I was looking at the notes as well. I remember, this is all what we discuss in Obstacle is the Way, for example, that episode as well. Like,
100%.
Looking at things. So whenever the worst things might actually get, it's all up to you. Nobody else. There is no external force.
Yeah.
It's just
Sheyaf,
you.
I love the this is the perfect training ground opportunity. I think that's very, very universal for anybody even listening, where it's like, no matter what it is that you're going through, this is the ultimate training ground that's going to prepare you for this and probably other challenges that you're not even aware of that might be even bigger in the future.
Like it's like a default setting that like anything life can throw at you. I think honestly, one of the reasons, Kareem, the more points that we actually go through, I think every point resonated with me as well. Like, that each of these points, like, because this is the only way. Now this guy, he's a Marine, like I said, put under the most challenging and demanding situation. So this is his takeaway, like, and moving on to the second
and
point.
a lot of the craziest things he's done were actually after he's become a Navy SEAL, which is very interesting.
Yeah. And so the first thing was, the process of CallusingYour, and one thing was flipping your story. Yeah. How you can. Second thing he says, okay, now this is today, many people actually speak about this, is about craving discomfort. Okay. Now, craving discomfort, usually for me, it's like, I would not call it discomfort. For me, it's like, I like challenges. I love challenges. Like is a understatement. I love challenges. So whenever, I'm always looking for my next challenge. Now, it could be in anything, bro. It could be in my personal life. It could be in my work. So one of the ways is, usually what comes with challenges definitely is discomfort. So Goggins actually says, okay, first thing is flip your story, start looking at everything as the ultimate opportunity. Second thing is start craving for discomfort. So, when you're always
start seeking it. You go out of your way to actually seek the discomfort and even you put yourself in that position on purpose, really.
Yeah. And craving discomfort sometimes is like going to the gym. Okay. Going to the gym is craving discomfort for your body, but craving discomfort for mentally is, again, this might be very extreme for some people. It's like, why the hell should I go outside, go out there and like, I'm completely fine. Now, this is for people who want to actually push it, like really, get to the next level. So I think it's like gym for your mind. Now, going outside your comfort zone is like a very good example. Now, it could be as simple as, you are an extremely, you're an introverted person, for example. And some of the challenges it presents because you're an introvert. Okay. Now, being an introvert is not at all a bad thing. It can be very, very beneficial for some people, and it can be like a plus. But in particular situation, you understand, being an introvert affects me in this particular way. So craving discomfort or, going out of your way could be like doing something what an extrovert does one day.
Sure.
So basically, just getting out of your comfort zone, end of the day. Yeah. So I think,
And just to add to that as well, like in addition to what you're saying, like, it's not just like mindlessly doing discomforting things, but rather things that, yes, are discomforting, but in the same time is, for a fact, is actually serving your end goal, right? If whether that's like, again, a personal goal or a professional goal, like many times we all know exactly what we need to do. Knowledge is not an issue. Like you have Google, you have YouTube, you have books, you have mentors, experts, your circle. Knowledge is usually not the issue. It's always about practice and doing. And if you guys think about it, a lot of the concepts that we discuss on this show are really about helping you to take action and to apply what you probably already know you need to do. And here's the thing, like 90 I was reading a book called The Entrepreneurial Roller Coaster. Shout out to Sami Tamawi, who told me about it. And he in the book they say that there's no such thing as doing 100% what you love.
Yeah.
And nor do you even want to seek that, because it's a bit elusive overall. Really, even if you're doing the thing that you love, you're essentially doing 5% of your time is really spent on that thing that you love, and 95% are the things that enable that. And he was giving the example of Oprah Winfrey, where let's say she's doing what she loves to do, right, which is being on a huge like television platform, inspiring a lot of people, so on and so forth. But probably 95% of the time she's like negotiating contracts, she's having internal meetings with her team, she's planning things that she'd rather like not do, but it is part of the job. And that's exactly what Sheyaf is talking about, like seeking that discomfort and thinking of yourself. Either I like to think of it as like thinking of yourself as like the Joker, right, from Batman. Oh yeah, I'm wearing the Batman hat, so this is perfect. But yeah, like thinking of yourself like the Joker, like you are so manically obsessed with this this discomfort, right? And obviously we know that you guys won't misunderstand. It's like you know what we mean.
Yeah, and now adding a personal spin to this, when you look at it, right, our most of us, let's say from the Asian cultures that we actually come from, everything is the opposite. If you actually look at it, people never tell you to flip your story. People always think, the default setting is you are the victim, because you have
100%.
XYZ limitations. And the second thing of, don't do anything which is put you in any out of your comfort zone. Always play safe. Like this is what all of us are actually. And again, I always see, these things, when you actually add up, me personally, when I think about it, everything that I've actually, started going out of my comfort zone, I think it's the same for you, Kareem, as well. This is where you've actually progressed. For me personally, everything 100%. If I've reached any new achievement, like I've unlocked any new achievement in my life, is only because right, nothing happened inside your comfort zone. There is a saying, I don't know what it is, like something what says nothing, like happens.
Growth happens outside your comfort zone.
Growth happens out of your comfort zone. So very, very interesting. So let's jump to the third tip, I think, or a third point that he actually discussed in this book. Is it's an interesting thing is, what he calls, a tip number 4 is called the accountability mirror. Okay. Now in this show, we've actually discussed about accountability partners, which is it was a very good idea or a concept where, me and Kareem are also very, we are practitioners of this ourselves, we hold each other accountable. I have some other people that I hold accountable. So in this now we are thinking from a Navy SEAL, like an army person's mind. So he does not have time, or in his life, there'll be situations where he does not have an accountability partner, or he does not have the luxury.
Yes.
Because I remember day for yesterday, part, I was talking about this in one of that live videos that we actually did, that video podcast that I did. Some people ask this question: what if we don't have, the people like this around us? I think this is where this answer comes in. You become your own. Like basically, if you don't have that person, okay, it's very literally impossible these days to not find someone physically or over the internet. But let's say you don't.
Yeah.
You can start being your own accountability partner. So this is why he talks about the accountability mirror, for example. Yeah. So what do you have anything 100%. To add to this, Kareem? What do you think? Like, do you think it will work?
Of course. I think the accountability mirror is a more, in my opinion, I think it's more difficult to do than an accountability partner. I think of it as more advanced. Yeah, because like you said, like exactly, a lot of discipline, and you need to be able to hold yourself accountable to the person that's in the mirror, right? That you face every single day. And if you have that level of discipline, then my hat off to you. But many times it will start with you having to reach out to other people. I don't know if this is like this is probably like a cultural thing. I know I'm pretty sure it's the same in India, bro. But like in Egypt, like
definitely
we have this saying where it's like if you want to have a clean house, invite some guests over, because that's going to give you the motivation to actually like get off your bum and actually clean the house once and for all. and it's
Actually,
great
it's true.
because
It's true as well, right, Kareem? Like there is a lot
yeah.
of truth into it, right?
Yeah, because many times you're like, oh yeah, no, I know I need to clean the house and stuff like that, but it's only when in Egypt the translation is a stranger, even if it's like a friend or something, but a stranger. When a stranger is coming
Yeah.
into the house, then it's like, oh, but what will the stranger say? We have to put the house in order, you know. So it's I relate accountability partners to that, and accountability mirror is a whole nother level, which is it's like a portable accountability partner. It's like you with yourself and being able to do that.
I think there is a reason for this as well, Kareem. You know why? Okay. After reading this, it again, it had this eureka moment because I started comparing this to my life as well. Okay. I have had a lot of, before I got into this whole accountability partner thing, right? Okay. Even before I think I used to do this a lot personally. I think there is a reason, end of the day. Even if you have an accountability partner, right? It's like Kareem, we always have this discussion. You ask me, okay, Sheyaf, what do you want to take up as an accountability thing? Okay, this is mine.
Right.
Right?
Yeah,
always I have this thing like there are times, for example, I don't commit to something. Like it's not that I don't want to, but I'm not sure. Okay. But there are a lot of things because even right now, there are a lot of accountability stuff that I have with myself. Because end of the day, I believe only you know the real reality. Like the only person you cannot lie to is yourself, bro.
Yeah.
Because even to an accountability partner, right? I can actually, this is something interesting that we are unpacking right now, that to an accountability partner, you can actually take up an accountability. For example, your potential is, let's say, it's like last week I'm just going to openly confess, like I took 50 kilometers. Okay, for this Thursday, one of the accountability that me and Kareem was going to do 100 videos. So 25 videos in 3-4 days.
25 by the Friday, yeah.
By the Friday, and I said that I will do 50 kilometers with my cycle riding. So this is an accountability we took. But deep inside, I know that I could do 100 easy by Friday.
Mm-hmm.
So see.
Oh, I didn't know that. I would have pushed you to do that.
so
now I know.
So this is very candid. Yeah. So when we are talking about this, just coming. So
yeah.
Personally, right? I have if you remember, bro, I did 1,000 kilometers in two months. Yeah. This is without any accountability partner, honestly saying.
So how did you do it?
This is keeping myself accountable. Like I know the reality. I know what is my capacity, for example.
Even though you've never done it before, right?
I've never done it before. So this was like a challenge for me. So all this data, by the way, these are scientific data. If you go to my Strava, you can actually find it. So not even 60 rides. It's like 54 or 55 rides. I completed 1,000 kilometers. So for me, I remember like I used to not look in the mirror, but I used to remember after each cycling, I sit and I used to go through this talk inside my head. But I'm like, you did 30. Look, next time you need to do 50 because I think it really works. So if you have that discipline, I think that discipline and, if you have that mindset, I think this works because like I said, you can lie to your accountability partner. Okay. But you cannot lie to yourself. End of the day, what is your actual capacity or potential. So I think that's a very interesting point. So the third point, like anything more you want to add, or let's jump to the fourth point, Kareem?
No, I think we covered it. Let's move on to the next one.
So the fourth point again is something that we've discussed. So fourth tip that Goggins talks about is the cookie jar. Okay, there are different people have different names for it. I think there is also something called the victory jar. And if you remember in one of our episodes, Challenge Yourself, we had discussed about this. So I will let you take it up, bro.
Cookie jar from the book is basically it's a bit of a funny name. Like I would have probably called it something else, but hey, he's the author. Cookie jar is this notion of like, okay, anytime, it's not what you guys think, by the way, if you haven't read the book. Basically, anytime you go through a hardship and your mind starts playing games on you and it starts telling you, you know what, like, why don't you just stop right now before it gets even worse? Or, you know what, you're probably not built for this. You can't really do what you thought you could do.
What will people
but hey,
say?
At least you know now. The cookie jar is basically around, like how do you actually call upon some of your past accomplishments and make the case to yourself. We did an episode similar to this before, but to make a case to yourself that, hey, the same person who did this thing a couple of weeks ago, a couple of months ago, even a couple of years ago, could certainly do this and probably could do more. So it's almost like your motivation jar, where you can just like call upon past things that you've done before that could really help to propel you. And one thing that I would add to that is not necessarily just things that you've done before, but also people say, when you feel like you want to quit, you should remember why you started, right? And why didn't you should have quit from day one? Like why did you waste all this time? If the future you was gonna quit, you should have just told your past you, hey bro, I'm planning to quit in a few months, so I'm just letting you know that this is not worth it.
I mean,
what do you think?
I think if I remember now, when we were actually doing that episode, when we brought this concept, right? The concept was very simple, as even literally having a small jar or a bowl, and you actually each time you accomplish something, like Kareem said, make a small note and just keep putting it there, like all the stuff. So what happens is, some of us human beings, you are blessed with forgetfulness, okay, which is good at times, but there are times when it is not good, as when and it could be something very small, like, you know what, today you did a perfect parking. Like, for example, for many people, parallel parking, garage parking is a big deal. Okay, where, for example, a whole month, and this is something you thought you could not do. Okay, for example, you did something at work, something that, you know, you always were getting a lot of heat, you know, like that's something that you're not performing, that you did. So anything small, if you learned a new skill. So what happens is, the moment you're in a place where, for example, you're feeling stuck, or you're feeling you're not built for it, you have physically a jar. It could be in that episode we said it could be a note on your notepad on your phone, for example. It could be a journal
or something like
so
that. Yeah.
it's written. So all you do is you just open and you just pick one paper from this cookie jar. And I think the reason he calls it a cookie jar is, cookie is something that you reward yourself. You have that nice feeling, you know, let me take a cookie, let me enjoy a cookie. So and one very interesting thing I recall in this book, so he calls the accountability mirror like the bad cop. Like, when you're not performing, your accountability yourself starts acting like the bad cop. Like, you know, he gives you, like, you know, a lot of shit for it. Like,
you are your own worst coach. Yeah.
And cookie jar is like the good cop. It's reminding you of all the good stuff that you've achieved.
Nice. So, that's a good way. That's a good way to look at it, for sure. Yeah.
But this is definitely, it's a very small thing, but I think it's because personally, after we did that episode, I had written down some of the stuff, and I remember 2-3 months I completely forgot about this. One day I was sitting in the car, I was going through something very difficult, okay, with regards to my work and my business, something that I had to think about. And I was like, you know, should I do this? Will I be able to do this? And immediately from somewhere I remember this notepad. So I had written like 4 or 5 things, something similar. And I remember after 3 months it came in help. Opening it, immediately it gives you that ray of hope that, you know, you did not have. So definitely. So the fourth thing is,
especially if you're the, you know, if you're the one who like when you realize that you are the same person, you're the one who accomplished this as well. So it's a bit ironic that this thing is a challenge for you. Like, you've clearly accomplished that, and other things that would say that you're able to accomplish that as well. And that's the whole point of keeping that jar. And as you're saying, Sheyaf, like, whether it's physically or even as an Evernote, like, as long as you just have these and you know where to call upon. Yeah, having access to them, essentially.
And I think Tim Ferriss calls this the jar of awesomeness.
Okay.
That sounds...
I didn't know that.
Yeah, like, you know, it's quite interesting. Yeah, quite funny as well. And makes a lot of sense, the jar of awesomeness. You call it whatever you want. And now let's move on to the last tip or point the author speaks about is the 40% rule. You know, we just discussed about this before we started.
Oh, that's podcast. A heavy one. Yeah.
And I think again, for me, this took it home right away. But Kareem, do you want to speak about this? What is this, the 40% rule?
Yeah, I'd love to, man. So the 40% rule is, and Sheyaf and I, we wanted to leave the worst one. I mean, the heaviest one for the last, right? So the 40% rule is a killer, but if you can master it, it will be amazing for you. Long story short, whenever you have given something your all, you might be, going, you might be running, or you might be cycling, or you might be doing something in your work. You know, you feel like you've given it your all and you're about to give up. Tell yourself, and I think there's some scientific evidence to support this.
I think it's not give up, right, Kareem? I think it's like when you're going to feel done, like you're done.
It's give up, but also if you feel like you are about to finish, like if you feel like you're done. But overall, this notion of like, okay, I'm at the finish line one way or another, and I probably cannot do more than that. Tell yourself that you're actually at the 40% mark. And even just, and I don't know if this is scientific or not, I think it is, but even if it is psychological, man, like I feel, once you've made that once you've had that conversation with yourself that, you know what I've done, that's actually only 40%, psychologically it'll make you realize I could do at least double that and then a little bit more as well.
Yeah.
And it's a powerful concept. But Chef, what do you think?
I think, yeah, this is exactly what he says in the book. Now, again, this guy's an army person. Okay, we'll get into first what he says, and then we'll discuss the personal example that I took. So he says, whenever you think like, you've put a target for yourself that, let's say, take fitness for an example, I'm going to do 20 push-ups. So what he actually says is, in reality, that is only 40% of what you're actually capable of. You still have a 60% reserve. Okay. Let's say this is a task that you've set yourself. You set, for example, like you said in the next 3 months, I have to achieve. Let's say you're a person who's creating content, or let's say you're a person who has to do X number of tasks. So you put yourself a task of 10 tasks to do. So ideally your actual potential may be 20 or 25 or 30 tasks. So and it makes a lot of sense, because scientifically what I don't know about the 60-40% rule. Our bodies and humans generally, we are extremely, the mind is not very, they don't like discomfort at all.
Yep, of course.
They crave comfort, like literally. This is why, in this, one of the points he says, crave discomfort, because nobody craves discomfort. Everybody craves for comfort. So you're going like flipping the story, and crave for discomfort is completely against. So personally, what I was telling Kareem is, I have had this habit. And this, I remember going back to my kickboxing days, one of the coaches, okay, now thinking about, this was his standard rule. So if in kickboxing, you have these things where you do, like some days it's pad days, pad work. So the only thing you do is you're kicking pads. So there is a person standing and there is a person kicking, then you switch. And holding the pads is more painful than actually kicking, because you're taking very, very strong blows on this, and you have to hold it. And, and these kicks, believe me, go to YouTube and see how a Muay Thai kick is. It's very, very powerful. And depending on who you're paired up with, sometimes you're paired up with somebody who's below your level. Sometimes you're with some pro who's like, Jackie Channing the hell out of the situation over there. Okay. So he used to have this thing, 50 kicks. So if he's holding the pads, let's say I'm lucky, I'm that lucky in that day, I'm like, he's holding the pads for me. So 50 kicks, the moment you're done 50, he will say another 10 or another 15. And while I'm at 40, 42, I'm like, I'm done. And only 8 more kicks and I'm done. So the moment I'm going to reach 49, he'll be like, okay, do another 15. And I'm like, how am I going to do this 15? And you always remember that 15 easily, because the body always has a capacity. So after that, this is something that became innate in me. Like anytime when I'm working out, even a be it cycling, whatever. So always the target I keep in my mind, I always try push. Like I don't do like 60% extra, but the norm now is I do at least
at least you try and go above.
Yeah, 10-20% extra. Like, this was the recent example we were discussing is this Sheikh Zayed ride that we discussed beginning of the episode. So it was a 14-kilometer ride. So, it was a 14-kilometer challenge, but I ended up doing 20, like I did twice. Took a second round, and the second round, I had no intention of doing the whole round. I said I will do an additional 6 to make it 20. When I reached 20, I'm like, what? It's just another. So,
Yeah, I love it. It's almost like you're making excuses for yourself to keep going.
Yeah.
I love
it. You can, I think it's amazing. Like, so even this coach, I remember, and when you do into this heavy level of training, all these coaches, not this my coach, all of them say, most of the stuff that we think is up in our head, our body has way more capacity. Yeah. So I think this 40% rule, what it in a nutshell is, whatever you're capable or whatever you think you can do is just 40%. So this is
do a lot more than that.
Yeah, 100%. There is 60% more, from where this all came from. So
100%. And Sheyaf, you reminded me, bro, of a story from way back when I was, I think, maybe 15 years old or something like that. I used to train water polo in Egypt, and in one of like the really like good clubs there. And one of my favorite stories about my time doing that, I wish I continued, to be honest, like, but I ended up like stopping after some time. But one of my favorite things that really attracted me is how much you do outside the water before you even jump in the water.
Yeah.
By the time you get to the water, that's almost like not the easy part, but you're almost like a sense of relief, because of the level of cardio that they make you do.
Yeah,
and the coach I don't know if he was like I'm pretty sure he wasn't like a PhD like scientist or something like that, sports psychologist or something like that, but he did explain a concept so like casually. But I have to say, like, over the years, it's been more than more than 10-12 years now. All these years I couldn't help but keep remembering this concept whenever I feel like I'm approaching that like finish line, right? So he basically says that, you know, the first stage is you're not tired. So from a sports perspective, let's say you start running, for example. The first stage one is you're just not tired. You're working away, you're running away, and everything's fine. And then stage number 2 is you actually do get tired. And he said, like, the holy grail, or like the amazing thing that you can actually unlock, is stage number 3, which is called like post tiredness. So not tired, and then post tiredness. He said, if you can push yourself to get to this post tiredness level, you can pretty much go on forever, because your body it became tired, it became super tired,
body became
and then
callous,
it's like,
bro.
you know what, I don't feel anymore, let me just keep going. And you can pretty much keep going for forever, pretty much, you know.
I think this exactly, if you speak to any triathlete or marathon runners, like 100 kilometers plus, they will tell you this exact third stage, because this is more or less
because of what you're saying, Chef, which is, you know, your body almost has like this warning sign in your mind. But it's like with cars, for example, and tells you, oh yeah, this is actually the maximum speed. Yeah, when in fact, come on, like the car can mechanically go way faster if you wanted to.
Yeah, way faster. Like 120 in Dubai is the speed it starts beeping, but it's not safe. But like exactly like the car, you need to know, you need to be in control. But anyways, so I think it was a very interesting concept, or this whole idea of coalescing the mind. So. Wrapping it all up, I think these are the 5 tips that, the author, the Navy SEAL Goggins, he actually talks about. These are 5 things that you can actually try to put into practice, and in time you'll reach a place like, literally there aren't much things, for example, that can affect you anymore.
100%.
And end of the day, while I remember all these 5 points, also I remember reading, there is a mindset called the warrior mindset. And this is exactly like warriors, how they used to be. So literally, so today's episode is not about becoming a warrior or a Navy SEAL, but these concepts, I think the reason these authors write these books, right? Like none of us are going to be required to go for some extremely physically demanding things. But like the topic today is coalescing your mind. So these concepts, we can actually implement some of these concepts, or even one of these concepts we can start implementing, right? In time, you will reach that place, with your mind that you don't feel like, not numb,
definitely,
but things that affect you will not affect you anymore. So I really hope you guys, all of you people who are listening to the episode really, like this episode, and you guys find value. And as always, if you guys think something, that was really good, or if you need some more clarification, or if you want me or Kareem to elaborate on something more, definitely let us know. We'll be more than happy. And as always, make sure you subscribe to our podcast on, depending, a lot of new people
wherever you are,
wherever you are, be it Apple Podcasts, be it Stitcher, be it Spotify,
YouTube,
YouTube, wherever you guys are, we are there in all these platforms. And do leave us a review or a comment, let us know, like as usual. So that's all from us, guys. We will see you in the next episode, and until then, take care and have a lovely week. Bye-bye.
See you guys. Bye-bye.